Om. Saira, just to recollect where we were last week, we are in chapter 6 of the Geetha Vahini. Swami is beginning to talk about karma yoga. He says everyone has to engage in karma in this world, and for the world to go on, karma is needed. And he goes on to explain to us how does what is karma and how does it originate and so on. He says the karma originates from the Vedas. Vedas came from God. Karmas came from the Vedas, and from karma came yajna. From yajna came rain, and from rain, food, and from food, the living beings have come into being. And that's where he started out, and I think we looked at it and briefly discussed. So we will continue from where we left off last week. Sai.
Saira. In 17 verses, from the 56th through the 72nd, Krishna described in the second chapter the characteristics of the Sthita Prajna and the excellence of that stage. Then, saying that he himself had established Jnana Yoga for the Sankhyas and Karma Yoga for the Yogis as means of attaining liberation. He spoke of the importance of karma. Everyone has to bow to the demands of nature and engage himself in karma. It is inevitable. Therefore, Krishna said, do the kartavya karmas, karma that is your bounden duty. Being engaged in karma is to be preferred to not being so engaged. If you desist from karma, the task of living becomes difficult, nay, impossible. The karmas that do not bind by consequence are those referred to as yajna, sacrifice. All the rest are bondage producing ones. Therefore, O Arjuna, give up all attachment and engage in acts as if they are each a yajna, sacrifice dedicated to the Lord. Krishna taught Arjuna the origins of karma, the roots from which the urge to do karma sprout and grows. He taught them so clearly that Arjuna's heart was really moved and modified. The Vedas emanated from God, karmas emanated from the Vedas. From karma originated yajna, from yajna, rain, from rain grew food, from food came all living beings. This is the cycle that has to be accepted and honored.
So we had read it and I think discussed it briefly, but if anyone has something to share, please go ahead. If that's none, I think maybe we'll go on to the next slide. I think Swami is continuing to talk about this cycle or the circle of life, I would say, further. So we will read that and then we maybe discuss.
Consider this, O Arjuna, I have no need to do any karma, no, not anywhere in the three worlds. I am under no compulsion, still I am ever engaged in karma. Think of this. If I desist, the world will be no more. Have steady faith in the Atma. Then dedicate all acts of yours to me, with no desire for the fruit thereof, no egoism, and no sense of possession of pride or pride, engage in battle, said Krishna. If the wheel of creation is to move smooth, each one has to keep on doing karma. Whoever he is, he cannot get round this obligation. Even he who has achieved the highest jnana has to observe this rule. Eating and drinking, intake and release of breath, these two are karmas. Who can exist without these acts? You deserve benefit from the world and from the community, and so some activity on your part is their due. This Brahmananda, supreme bliss, this Vishwa creation, is really speaking a huge workshop. Every human being is a limb in this organization. The limb is allotted a task in accordance with its structure, and it must find its fulfillment in doing that particular work. Whatever work one has been allotted has to be done as an offering to God. There's no single thing in the universe that does not engage itself in this great task. Plant and insect, stone and stump, wind and the rain, heat and cold. If each of these does not work as plan, as per plan, the world cannot subsist. The sun and the moon carry on their routine tasks. Wind and fire have to perform their duties without demur. If the earth and sun refuse to do the allotted duties, what is to happen to the world? So there is no one who is karmaless, but yet with body. It is only when each perform his task without fail and with care that the wheel will move quick and smooth.
Swami is impressing on us the necessity for doing action. We have to all play our role, play our part for this world to go on. And we need to do it consciously. That's one word, I think it's not necessarily translated properly. At the third paragraph, this Brahmanda has been translated as supreme bliss. I would make it universe. I think it's a better Brahmanda, the expanding egg, if you want to put it that way. It's the entire universe. And that's only a thing which I thought I would just point out. Otherwise, I'll open it up for discussion. Please, please share your thoughts. Saira, anyone?
So, I mean, Swami, in this, it's just a kind of stressing doing the karma is as natural as should be, like the universe. I think we cannot avoid it. He was just using his own example as if I stop doing it, what would happen to the whole universe? I mean, everything will get stopped. So everything has a repercussion. I think if you don't do what you're supposed to do, it may have a different impact on you. So that's how he was trying to stress it out. That's what I could put this one.
Thank you, brother. Thank you. Anyone would like to share anything, please?
So Sairam, brother, whether you like it or not, everyone's supposed to, all the living beings supposed to do their allocated work. We have to think that this is the God will, this is the God. So I think everyone can understand God's will, and so if we do that, our part, there won't be any issues. And when we have that work, that's what last time also you explained, when we go to work, we have to do with the full happiness, with the love. and don't have the selfish desire. Even at home, same thing. If you don't have the selfish desire, if you are not attached to anything, then you will be happy. And if you have the discipline, you follow some, even the God, even Supreme God, they all doing the karma too. So we have to follow them with their example, with their discipline. Thank you, Saira.
Sairam, brother, thank you. I think in the first paragraph, Swami is Krishna is telling, how we have to perform the action. Also, he has told, have steady faith in the Atma, dedicate all acts of yours to me, do not have desire for the fruits, and no sense of possession or pride. And so he's giving what the mental state should be and what should be our feeling when we are engaging in action. I thought that's something nice for us to take notice of.
Sairam.
Yes, Auntie. Yes, Auntie.
Yeah, even Lord Krishna says that he also has to, he's engaged in karma and he has to do his work. So all of us, including Lord Krishna, have to do the assigned work.
Yes, Auntie.
Saira, oh, sorry, go ahead, please.
After you, sister, please go ahead.
I was just going to ask a question because when we talk about karma and our duty, it says, whatever work one has been allotted has to be done as an offering to God. But I guess for example, if, I'm just thinking about work employment, but if I decide that, I don't want to work 5 days a week and I just work 3 days a week, then am I not doing my karma? Or if I use that extra time for something meaningful or purposeful, then who decides that karma, I guess, because we do have some influence in deciding what we do with our time.
Thank you, Kalyan, for the question. I will open it up for anyone to comment. How do we decide? So, because in the previous page, previous slide, an earlier paragraph, Swami has said, we all have to do what's called kartavya karmas. What among work, there's something called kartavya, which is the appropriate work at the appropriate time. And Swami has categorized work into 3 categories in a discourse. Swami says, he says we have what are called nirbandha karmas, then which have to be done. Pardon?
Yes, I think you had mentioned before sambandha, nirbandha.
Yes, nirbandha is something which has to be done. Okay, no other choice. We don't have a choice to choose. The second one is sambandha. That is the thing where we have some choice. Because of our own choices, we engage in action. The last one is what's called kartavya, that which has to be done as duty, as dharma. Swami has categorized, and we need to separate what we are doing because we want to do, because we like to do. What needs to be done is, I think, kartavya. What needs to be done. I think each one can decide for themselves. It's my view, but I will open it up for others to comment.
Sorry, Anna, can you explain the difference between nirbandha karma and kartavya again? Sorry, they seem to be both. There's no choice; you have to be done. So how does that work?
Yeah. So Swami, this is the Swami gives examples. What is he says? It's Sunday morning. We wake up with a fever. Okay. And there's a call coming from the office, your manager. There's something urgent and you have to show up to work. The entire organization depends on you and the manager demanding that you come. That is called nirbandham. That was not meant to be, but the circumstances force you to do something. So you cannot escape from that action. If you try to not do it, there will be consequences. That's reality. So that falls under nirbandham. And then Swami gives the example of sambandha. Today, again, the same situation. So, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Same situation. Today, we had planned a party, a get together with friends. And you get up and you have fever. You don't have a choice. You feel it may not be a good idea to have. So you call everyone and cancel the party or get together. So those kinds of activities are what are called sambandha, which is what actually we are mostly engaged in. Then the last one is Swami says kartavya. So for this, Swami gives a funny story. He says there's a husband and wife, and they had some issue, and both of them were angry with each other, and they were yelling at each other. Okay, as this was going on, there was a knock on the door, and so the husband goes to open the door, and he finds one of his friends has dropped in after a while. He says, "Oh, come in, come in, come in," and he brings him and he smiles at him and makes him sit and he talks. And then he says, "Will you have something to drink?" He says, "Yes." So apparently he comes into the kitchen and the wife is there, and he has switched back to his anger. The old fight is still simmering. So he says, "Bring a cup of coffee, so and so has come." Angrily he tells her, and then he comes back and again talks to his friend smilingly as if everything is fine. And Swami says, so here's the situation. It's a very complex situation, but how this person behaved was appropriate for the situation and for the circumstances. But he says sometimes what happens is you're fighting at home and you go to the open the door and your friend shows up. You start yelling at him. Why did you show up? You should have called and told me that you're coming. And you slam the door and come back. He says that is not kartavya. That is not appropriate for the situation. So what he says is every situation demands a certain behavior, and you need to know how you should function in that situation. So the reality is in life we are always pulled by in many different ways. Continuously we are juggling between circumstances, and we need to know how in each of the situation we have to function as the situation demands. That Swami says is kartavya. So I would say situation demands is kartavya. And I think to the point of Kalyani asking, okay, if I want to work for less number of days, I think ultimately because it's a tug of war in life, there's multiple things which are attracting our attention, and we need to know what is the most beneficial activity. And even then we should not neglect anything which we have to do. I think that's a struggle for everyone, and there's no one rule. I think each one has to figure it out for themselves. This might be sorry for a long sharing on my side. I will open it up for others to share, please. Go ahead. Sai Satish, I think you wanted to say something and I think we cut you off.
Not at all, Anna. I was just going to reflect on the fact that we do not have a choice but to do action. in the context of what we were discussing earlier, both the paragraph 1 and 2. And so even breathing is a karma, and every action becomes again a seed for the tree to germinate. So even a simple action like breathing can, as we inhale and exhale, we take in a few microorganisms that can go in, and that they may survive or they may perish, and that becomes an seed that is now leading to some other germination of another reaction that is coming. So that is where I think, since we cannot escape from action, the beautiful part of the solution that Lord Krishna gives is the same, like dedicate all the actions to me, have no desire for the fruit, don't have egoism, go about. So he understands the problem that each one of us traverse, and he gives complete solution to that problem. And in line with what you were also saying, there is that quote of duty without love is deplorable, duty with love is desirable, and love without duty is divine. So getting to that stage of any activity, based on what Sister Kalyani also was saying, is that kind of the 3-day, 5-day kind of a thing comes because we possibly like one more than the other.
Sairam Sai Satish, I think we may have lost.
We can hear him, Uncle.
Yeah.
Oh, I
we
see.
can
So it's
hear.
just me then. Okay, sorry.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Is it fine, Anna? Can you?
I think my internet
Yeah,
is
we can
giving me.
hear.
Yeah,
Okay.
go ahead. Yes.
Okay. So I was just trying to say that it comes with preferring something more than the other. But if we can offer everything to Swami, then I think whether it is 5-day or 3 days, whatever we do should not matter. I just wanted to share in light of that. Thank you, Saira.
Okay, thank you, Sai Satish. Mr. Ananthi, you had a question,
Um,
or you have put your hands.
yeah, this is not a question, but the Brother Dasan previously indicated he brought a really good one sentence from the paragraphs. Whatever the work one has been allotted has to be done as an offering to God. And when I look at this one, in multiple discourses and in several other, Swami's, maybe the quotations also, Swami said that rather than trying to do the work we like the work, you have been given an opportunity. And Swami also, I remember that one of the things Swami explained that some flowers bloom in the sun, some flowers bloom in the moon. So that's why, we may not know what category of flowers we are. That's why whatever the work it has been given by the God, we have to accept and do that. That could be the better part for us. But as as an ordinary person, we never satisfy whatever the work it has been assigned or given to us. We would think that why, even in the workplace, why the manager hasn't given me that job. He asked me to do this one. Why I should be doing this difficult job rather than someone else is enjoying the easy job and those things. So maybe the question, your concern on this one, maybe under all circumstances, we have to take this as an offering to God, and we have to do that work sincerely, or whether we have to, we have to analyze ourselves, with our discrimination the faculty, and we should tell in any place where we work, or even in the Sai Center, I'm sorry, I'm not comfortable in doing this job. I want to do another one. Whether that sort of concern or question I have on this particular statement from Swami. Thank you, Saira.
Thank you, sister. Thanks for. I think ultimately the question is, what should we do? I think that's the question ultimately. I think this is the question Kalyani also asked. See, I think the answer is we should, based on our intelligence and our skills, we can make our own choices. But I think you have posed a question where you say, if we don't get to do something, then what do we do? We have not been assigned. I think Kalyani's question is, we have assigned duties, and we have duties which we already taken on, and it's how do we allocate time for that? And I think your question is, we want to do something and that has not come to us. What do we do in that situation?
Yeah, exactly.
That's another layer you have added. Should we seek out that job or not? I think that is the question you have from what I can read. So I will restate the question so that I understand. I hope the others also know what the questions are on the table. If anyone would like to share, please go ahead.
So, Sairam brother, my understanding is, if you're supposed to work 5 days, if the managements agree to go for 2 days, then you can spend the time for 2 days and you can do the rest of the karma at home or some other workplace. That is up to you. As far as if you don't have the desire, you don't have cling to the action, that's fine. And if you regarding that Sister Anandi's thing, my opinions, you have the rights to talk to the manager, whatever the concerns. So whatever the management says, you agree to that one. Then if you are not agreed to that one, there's HR is there. Then you can move on to that one. But whatever the main goal is, you have to, whatever work you are doing, you have to do it with the love. Thank you, Saira.
Thank you very much, brother. Thank you. Anyone else would like to? I'm sure everyone faces these kinds of issues in life. So anyone else who would like to share what you all think, how you would go about based on this advice from Swami?
Yeah. In this case, when we are trying to shift from the norm, I think it all depends on how we are justifying that change we are trying to get into, right? If the justification is genuine and the truthful, that is one way to look at it, right? For example, in this case, if we go back to management and say, I'm trying to shift from 5 days to 2 days, and whatever reason that we may be giving, if we're not sticking to that reason and trying to do something else, that again, we are questioning ourselves. We are not truthful to ourselves. So it may also need to give a consideration, what are those factors that's contributing to make or think about this change. Then approach. I think what I'm trying to say is, we also need to look at the context also when we're approaching this request for a change. And that also may have an interesting place while following whatever other people saying. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you, brother. Thank you. Anyone else would like to share any thoughts, please?
My take on what Sister Kalyani said, that, can I take some time and then do some part-time? How I am thinking is, what are you going to do on your part-time, like with the time left? Of course, if it's for your spiritual journey progress, not just sitting idle, But on the other side of it, sometimes some jobs require people, they're short of that. If they require you, then I believe it's your obligation to do that karma because you're required. So I always see how I am not just thinking about myself, how I'm thinking about what is required, who will get help. If it's required for me to stay for longer in that job for 5 days, then I will stay. On the other side, when Sister Ananti said that other people are not doing, and I have taken a difficult job. There was a situation when I was in that situation, and somehow I read, and how I interpreted Swami's discourses, what are you learning from that situation? It might be difficult for you, but are you learning something? Forget about whether people are doing the job, because it's a Pareto's rule. 20% of people do 80% of the work in the organization. So can you be that 20% who is doing the 80% of the work? Other people are not doing. It's not our job. It's how I am learning from it. And if it's difficult after talking, as Uncle said, that talk to your manager, bring forward. And if it doesn't work out, then I read one time Swami said, do not break your relationship with people, your manager, and start looking for a better job, but leave amicably. Start looking for something better. And it happened with me. There was a situation when I was really kind of feeling that it has been long and I'm not getting, what I supposed to get. But I left on Swami. I said, I'm going to work hard. I'm going to see outside. I'm going to take how I'm going to progress myself. And he found the right opportunity. When I look back, I said, oh my God, if it would have pushed me before or took me out of that organization, my family would have affected. So Swami has a plan as far as we are thinking, not comparing with other people, and also at the same time, not thinking about just myself. Just a thought. So yeah.
Thank you very much, sister. Thank you. Anyone else would like to? Yes, Brother Thasan, go ahead.
So, Saram brother, according to this paragraph, if you look at the Arjuna has to do Nirpanda.
I'm unable to hear. Others can hear, Brother Thasan?
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, okay. Okay.
So according to here, at the Kurukshetra, that Arjuna, he doesn't want to fight. He has to do the karma, Nirpanda karma. That is his duty, that is his dharma. He cannot avoid that one. So sometimes you cannot ask some days off or anything. When you are at the Kurukshetra, you came to fight, you Kshatriya, and you have to fight, and you have to win the battle. That is your dharma and duty. Thank you.
Thank you, brother. Thank you. Anyone else?
Sorry, I just wanted to add another question, because in the previous slide that we did last week, Krishna had kind of separated it, saying that jnana yoga is for the Sankhyas and karma yoga is for the yogis. But then we said even breathing is karma. So aren't the jnana yogis also doing karma? They're just focusing all their karma on finding God. So why is there this distinction that this is jnana yoga? They're also karma yogis, aren't they? Like, because whatever they're doing, that's also karma.
Yeah, I think I thought we discussed this last week also. I don't know whether. See, the thing is, Swami says all three are inseparable: jnana, karma, and bhakti. They're just inseparable. Swami says if you take a flower, the color, the texture, and the smell all belong to the flower. Somebody may just like the look of it, the color, they may enjoy that. One person would like to keep on smelling and they enjoy it. One person may just like the feel of the flower, softness, and that may give pleasure. They may just be focusing on one, but all of them need to have the flower which contains all three. So sadhana ultimately has all three aspects. Every sadhana has all three aspects. It has karma, it has jnana, it has devotion. All three are present in every single sadhana. But different people may focus on one aspect little more than the other two. But they cannot say, oh, in my sadhana, the other two are missing. Or I will not even pay any attention. You have to have those ingredients also in whichever you are doing. So that's what Swami says. I think Swami has given, he said, if you have a tricycle, which wheel you put as the front wheel determines which marga you are following. I think which was also discussed. I think Brother Prasad also was mentioning, the yoga is the path which you are taking. The others also have to come along, the other two wheels, because there will be action involved, there will be devotion involved, even for a jnani. Because jnani is also the devotee, but he will be more involved in his intellect, his awareness. He may be a bit more analytical. So it's how we approach it rather than taking a single path, ignoring the others. So that's my understanding. So yes, Brother Tasan, please go ahead.
So Sairam brother, I like to add to your point too. Here at the Kurukshetra, as soon as the Lord Krishna talked about the Jnana Yoga and the Karma Yoga, and he's confused. And last week we all confused too. The reason, then why don't I go into the path Jnana Yoga instead of Karma Yoga? Why I wanted to fight? I can escape from the fight. So even though Archana knows the tabas, all the atmic levels, because he did the tabas and he won the I think he got the weapons from the Lord Shiva. He knows everything, but he wants to escape from the fight, the karma yoga. So he cannot select whatever he wants. He has to do his dharma, his duty. So in this case, he wants to escape from that one. He wants to go to jnana yoga. You cannot do that. You do your duty. That is your karma yoga. That is the nirpanda yoga at this battle time. You cannot come to the jnana yoga. That's what the Krishna was teaching. Thank you, Sairam.
Sairam, brother, Sairam.
Sairam, just another point. Sometimes we all know the story of the blind men and the elephant, where each of the person tries to get a feel of the elephant, and they say that this is the way the elephant is, but all of them are blindfolded or blind, however we take it. So one person touches the tail of the elephant and says the elephant is actually like a rope. Another person touches the legs of the elephant and says that the elephant is like a pillar, and so on and so forth. So sometimes it does happen that when we embrace on a particular path or particular thing, we comprehend in our way based on what we feel, but ultimately when the wisdom dawns, we will see that it is something else possibly altogether. I'm just trying to give a feel, because it is what we see and perceive with our senses is actually not the truth, and what we don't see and which doesn't have the name and form is actually the truth. So it is, we are traversing believing that west is the direction when actually east is supposed to be the direction we are headed. So sometimes even as we embark on bhakti, jnana or karma marga, we have our own perceptions, but slowly with God's grace, we will see the reality of how things shape up. So just wanted to share that thought. Thank you, Sairam.
Thank you, Sai Satish. Very nice. I don't know if anyone has anything to say. Otherwise, I hope Sister Ananthi and Kalyani are, maybe you answer, your questions were not fully answered, but I hope at least you have some thoughts to explore and contemplate on. I think one of the things is, whatever actions we take, we should understand when we choose one over the other, there are always consequences. So then we should be willing to face the consequences also. If you have to reduce the office work which pays us, we may have to take a pay cut. It's okay. We should be accepting that as well. But as long as we know that our life is spent in the best way possible for our own progress, that's all matters. And if we do it as worship, and if we are looking for some new opportunities, I think we cannot neglect what is already assigned to us. If we do what is assigned to us, and then on top of it, if we seek new opportunities, I think if God wills, it will happen. So I think that also, if we take care, that will be, I think that's what is already assigned is kartavya already, or nirbandha, whichever way it is. But we cannot neglect that in our quest for something, a new opportunity. I think that will be the best. Otherwise, we have to pay the price for whatever we do. Sahira. Or take the reward. Then, but Swami says, don't take the reward or don't pay the price. Offer everything to the Lord. So those are some thoughts. If everyone is okay. Sister Anandi, you have something to say? I thought you were.
I previously wanted to say that the Sister Kalyani's question that we discussed about the major program and the minor courses, that's why even if we are doing some sort of the courses, so we have to really focus on that one. But Brother Aruno, you previously explained that parallelly we have to take some sub courses to get that knowledge also. And Sister Shivani also nicely last class, last session, she also explained it's kind of blending, with the major subjects and the minor also. We have to, if I am a karma yogi, I need little bit of, the maybe knowledge-based experience, some sort of meditation and those things. Then when I do the action part, then I can apply those little bit of knowledge from that one. Then I can reach the path a little more effectively than if I just go alone with my action-based path. That's the one I wanted to tell Sister Kalyani. That was the reason, even though whether we have to choose this or that, we have to also keep in our mind that we need some other knowledge, other path knowledge also. And it has been a wonderful discussion, the all points. Thank you so much.
Sairam, Sister Sairam. Thank you.
Brother Arun, just a question. Is it okay to say, oh, I am choosing Gyan, the path of Jnana, I'm choosing the path of Bhakti? Or it's just your original thought of, your love, your faith on God, and eventually, I don't know, it's the right thing to say, that God knows, Swami knows that what path is the right way for you to reach to me. It's just you have to start with devotion and faith. I mean, I'm just thinking, I used to love bhajans, and now I'm more curious to know, like through the study circle and know. So I don't know, is it we choose it, or we just have an undercurrent of devotion and faith, and then Swami take us where we have to be, or whatever path is designed for us?
I think your question is, should we label what we are doing as something, or I think that's what I understand. See, the reality is, Swami,
Yes.
see, for example, Swami, if somebody says we are going to do seva, the standard direction from Swami is, when you are doing the seva, sing bhajans. And whoever you are serving, you think that they are divine. So if you take a look at both of them, instruction, we are doing some service activity, but we have to be singing bhajans when that's devotion. So we are offering it to the Lord. And we should see the other person who's coming as divine. So that is actually jnana. But if you take devotion, for example, if people say, we want to sing bhajans, if you're, for example, if you're leading bhajans, then you need to know the words properly. You need to, that is knowledge after all. You need to know what is Shruti, you have to keep to it. You need to practice. That practice and effort is seva also. How you do, how you sit, what you wear, everything has to be paid attention to. So I think in each action, actually, any sadhana we do, we have to pay attention to all three. However, if you want to label it as something, I think we can label. Those are my thoughts, but I will ask anyone else if they have something to share.
So, Sairam, brother. So don't misunderstand me. I'm talking all the time. Here is a very important thing, the Gita. At the Kurukshetra, the Krishna was explaining clearly to Arjuna, because the explanations for the Krishna to Arjuna is for us too. He's emphasizing, you do your work. Don't attach to the work. Don't desire for the throne. Just do the duty. Then you will merge with me. He's not talking about the meditation. He's not talking about the Namaswarnam. He's not talking about the Navavidha Bhakti. Do your duty, whatever assigned to you. So then he's talking about the jnana. That means that's a different subject. When you do the duty without any expectation, then your mind will be calm. When you want to go for the jnana marker, your mind is already calm because you are not expecting anything. There's no duality. Then you can focus and you can concentrate. You meditate on the inner self. You can achieve the divine consciousness. That's a different path. This is my understanding, brother. Thank you.
Thank you, brother. Thank you. So Sairam, Sister Shivani, I think your question itself had the answer, and I think you're okay. So
Yeah, thank you. Yeah.
We will move on to the next slide.
Sairam, Uncle, could
Yes,
I just
Sairam.
clarify one thing about the Kartavya karma? Because in the previous slide, it has said, do the Kartavya karmas that is your bounden duty. So would it be correct to say Kartavya karma and Nirbandha karma, the actual action is the same, but the difference is the attitude? Is that right?
I think my understanding based on the example Swami gave is Nirbandha is externally imposed task which we have to do. Kartavya is personal choice. We make a decision. This is the right thing to do given this circumstances. No one else is dictating to us. That's my understanding. But what is Nirbandha also, when we look at it, we have to perform it, I think, as a Kartavya. Even though externally it is imposed on us, when whatever we do, we should only do Kartavya. For example, if the boss is willy-nilly asking for something and demanding that we do something, even if he forces us, we don't have to. Because if there's some other Kartavya karma is demanding that we pay attention to it, we can always decline and say we are not going to come. I'm not going to come. And I will face the consequences. But I think we have to, even though actions may be forced on us, we should do what is Kartavya. So for example, you can say somebody is asking you to do a crime, forcing you to do something. So there are many people who give the excuse, I was forced to do, so I did it. But the Lord will say, you need to decide what is appropriate in that circumstances, even when others or circumstances force you to do something. You need to do what is right. So I think that is the distinction from what I understand. I hope that answers your question.
So kartavya is us determining what is the right duty that we should do at that moment.
Yes.
And then, so sambandha are things that we should just discard or we should not be doing, or?
Sambandha, I think Sambandha situation, you have a choice. But there also you should see what is kartavya and do it accordingly. But those are two things which happen in this world. There are things which get imposed on us, then there are things which we choose. But even when we are doing both these, we should decide what is kartavya and do, is my understanding. I'm sorry, that's my understanding. I'm just explaining what I was trying to communicate. But if others have something to say, I will ask others to chip in.
It's like for women cooking. If I don't like, it's a nirband, but I let me do it willingly, it become kartavya. I'm just thinking now I'm doing with love, so it's my kartavya.
Thank you, sister.
And an additional point for the previous one, another what Sister Shivani had mentioned, love becomes the undercurrent. So whether it is karma, bhakti, or jnana, the driving force for any of those things, though we know it is not watertight, like love becomes the driving force to connect to Swami, to be with Swami. So it's something like what you mentioned last time about the auto, each of the three wheels. For the auto to drive itself, it needs fuel, and that fuel is love. So whichever activity we are connecting, so for the flower also, it has all its attributes, but for the flower to survive, it needs life force, which is love. So in that context, whether we do karma, bhakti, jnana, the driving force is to connect to the Swami within. So as long as that love gets expressed, it doesn't matter whether it's flowing through a path called karma, it is flowing through a path called jnana, or flowing through a path called bhakti, because it will reach the ocean. So that thing I just thought I'll share again. Thank you, Saira.
Very nice, Sai Satish. Thank you. So I think maybe we can go to the next slide.
You may wonder why jnanis, liberated persons, should still do karma. Not only you, but many others may be worried at that statement. Well, people usually follow the ideal set by those in higher levels. Their acts form the basis of dharma for all. If jnanis are inactive, how are ordinary mortals to save themselves? They have no guide, and so they lose themselves in the easy paths of sensory pleasure. The duty of the wise is to foster the right and practice it before others, so that they too may be prompted to follow, drawn by the hope of becoming as contented and as joyful as they are. The wise have to do and get done, see and show, so that the rest might be persuaded to follow the example set by them. Arjuna, pay attention to just one fact. How warm is your body now? It may be about 98 degrees. How did it happen? Because the sun bears many million times this heat at that distance, is it not? Now, if the sun feels that it will not put up with all that fire and becomes cool, what will happen to mankind? Again, if I desist from karma, this vast Vishwakarma of working in and through this universe, imagine what will be the fate. That is why I am engaged in karma. Remember, not that I derived any profit thereby, or get any good or any fruit.
Thank you, sister. So, even for jnanis, I think whether they should do karma, was the question. And Swami is giving the reason why the jnani also should act. So I will. There's nothing more for me to share. I will ask others if you would like to share any thoughts.
So, Sairam brother, Jnanis are the example for our ordinary people. So what we say is we follow the leaders. It's like we follow the Jnanis, how they behave, how they act. So when they are doing any work, they are not attached to that one. If take the sun giving the sunlight and the heat too, it doesn't bother whether it can be take some rest or anything. Same thing, whatever allocated our job, we have to do it properly with the discipline. Then only the world can be in the peace and world can be survived. Even if we take Lord Shiva, he is on the meditation. Meditation also is a karma. So we follow the jnanis in order to achieve our goal too. Thank you.
Thank you very much, brother. Thank you.
Sairam, as a follow-up to Brother Dasan's the point, but I really love this, the very last sentence in this second paragraph. The difference here, it says, Krishna says, that's why I am engaged in karma, remember, not that I derive any profit thereby or get any good or any fruit. But the difference between the jnanis and the ordinary people such as us, we are engaged in karma, but we always expect some sort of profit or good or any kind of compensation from the action we are doing. That is the major difference between the jnanis and the ordinary people. I thought that's an excellent point. Swami wrote it. Even though we may think that jnani also doing the karma and we are also doing the karma action, then what would be the difference? The difference is this one. They never expect anything from the world, but as an ordinary person, we always expect. That's why in this particular chapter, Lord Krishna says, we have to develop that sort of attitude. We have to, let it forego any fruit sow, any kind of profit if we really don't need it, that sort of thing. And I also thought maybe socialism, they maybe come from this sort of philosophy, the way back, we are in the capitalist country, North America, but some other countries are socialist or communism countries. Maybe they would have come up with this sort of philosophy that no one will earn any profit, even they do any kind of job, whatever they get it, that would be the welfare of the whole nation. I just thought about when I look at this sentence. Thank you, loving Saira.
Sairam, sister, Sairam. Anyone else would like to comment? Share your thoughts?
I think Swami also saying we cannot just question why. That's why I think we just need to keep just doing. If we happen to be in a situation of doing something, we have to take it from there. I think it's bound to happen. It's meant for us to do, because in this assembly also saying if son says, why should I bear all this hate, what happens? So it's kind of question the fundamental thing. So I think the best way is to just try. If we want to change something, we can try in a right way. If things doesn't work, then we just move on, assuming that is the best thing for me to do at this point of time, and move on. Thank you.
Thank you, brother. Thank you. Any other thoughts? Yeah, see, the sentence which sort of attracted me is, Swami says, the first paragraph, the duty of the wise is to foster what the right and practice it before others, so that they may be prompted to follow, drawn by the hope of becoming as contented and as joyful as they are. So whatever we do, Swami wants us to cultivate these two qualities. That is, we have contentment and we are joyful. And see, the reality is Krishna is the best example of this. See, he told Arjuna, you can have me, but I will not fight. And that was the offer he made. Someone can have me and someone can have my armed forces. Okay, whoever has me will just have me there in their camp, but I will not fight. So this Arjuna, what he did, he asked, okay, you be my charioteer. That was a request from Arjuna. And Krishna accepted the job. And he had to drive the chariot, he had to wash the horses every day after the war, he had to feed the horses, he has to clean the chariot. All this work he had to do, apparently, Swami says. So he never thought, Arjuna could have given me some other job. And so there's another side story. Once Krishna took Arjuna. Arjuna was, feeling that, he's a great devotee, and so one day Krishna took Arjuna for a walk, and Krishna was not even dressed in his royal garb, so they were walking like commoners on the streets, and they went to a village, and they found there was one fellow, one farmer with a huge knife. He was slashing the plants in his home angrily. So Krishna Krishna took Arjuna and went to that farmer and said, "Why are you so angry?" Then that farmer says, "I am so angry. A few people, and if as soon as I get a chance, I am going to cut and get rid of these people." So he says, "Who are you angry about?" He says, "The first culprit is Arjuna." Okay, this Arjuna, what type of job did he give Krishna? Every day he was pressing on his back and causing him so much hurt in the battlefield. Why, what business he had to give him that job? So he's the first fellow I will get rid of. I'm going to chop his head off. Then Krishna asks, okay, then that's fine. Then who else do you want to kill? He says, second one is Draupadi. Whenever she is into some problem, they get into problem, and then she calls out to Krishna, you come here, solve my problem. The problem is her own husbands, and they are them. And why is she always troubling Krishna like that? So Krishna laughed and said, okay, hopefully you'll find them. And then Krishna brings Arjuna back, apparently. So he says, Swami is telling, the Lord is at the beck and call of everyone in this world. He does whatever they ask, and he never complains. In spite of all that, Swami himself, he comes out, Swami says, everyone is asking for something. Swami, my job, Swami, my ailment, Swami, my son's job, Swami, my daughter's wedding. Like that, everyone has something. But, he will, Swami, cut the child's hair, all that, barber job, priest job, everything was given to Swami. He smiled and he didn't come for all that. So I think ultimately we should be contented and joyful. So those are some thoughts which came. No one else was talking, so I thought these are thoughts running in my mind, so I thought I would share. Anyone else, please share anything you have.
Anna, just wanted to add, because I see that the purpose of this human life, they say paropakarartham idam shariram. So, and they also say paropakarartham idam shariram, translating as for the service of the others is the reason for this body. And it other saying is in terms of Atmano mokshartam jagat hitaya cha. So for the welfare of the world, jagat hitaya cha is welfare of the world, and Atmano mokshartam. So it is in serving or being of service to the world is one's own welfare. So in terms of the sun, anything that we see created by God, whether it is like Swami says, that whole thing, the cow does not drink its own milk, it gives it for the sake of the others. The trees do not eat their own fruits, it gives it for the sake of others. The rivers flow for giving the water to others, not for. So literally the whole thing is whatever karma that we do, if that karma is done selflessly for the sake of others, it becomes nishkama karma and takes care of whoever is rendering that action, gets benefited out of it. So when we do it for others, we reap the benefit, kind of a thing. So just wanted to, anything that Swami did, anything of that kind, everything, it is for the others, for the others. And by doing it for the others, the self grows. That's the kind of. Thank you, Saira.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, sir. Anyone else would like to share any thoughts?
Brother, can I ask you a question here? Brother, question please. You have said a story, right? What is that really ultimately you are saying with that story?
Oh, the Krishna story?
Yes, please. Krishna is taking Arjuna and showing this thing. And what is the really that you are trying to tell us from that story? Please.
Oh, see what I understand. I think it is Swami himself told. I don't know. This is the insight which I got. I'm sure everyone can get their own insights. The thing is, we should not trouble the Lord unnecessarily.
Okay.
Okay. Swami wants us to take care of our worldly needs by ourselves as much as possible. But the Lord will always be there if at all we need help. But we should not trouble the Lord for our own sake. Our worldly needs we should not trouble, is the way I understand. And so the real devotee is one who is not asking for their own help in this material world. They love the Lord for the sake of love. Just to have the Lord, not for any personal benefit or profit or any trouble. So that is what I understand. So Swami is telling that story. So that was the way Krishna was trying to teach Arjuna what is devotion. Here was a poor farmer, illiterate, didn't have anything. He can't even recognize Krishna when he sees, but has immense love for Krishna. So that is what. So that is the lesson which I took away from that. So if there are some worldly problem, don't trouble the Lord for that sake. Swami says, don't ask for coffee powder from the wish fulfilling tree. I think that is the message. But the thing is, even if we trouble the Lord is so kind and compassionate that He comes to our help. Both these I learned, Saira.
Okay, thank you, Saira.
Yes.
Saira, So in the first paragraph there, where it says the jnanis should still be doing karma, does that mean like the jnanis will be doing their karma, like meditation or reading, spiritual things, that kind of thing? Or does it mean that there are people who are jnanis but who are in the world and living like a worldly existence?
Everything. See, Krishna is supposed to have done Sandhya Vandanam in the morning, chanting the prayer, everything, because he did it because as an example, setting an example. The purpose of this, they may be performing the same actions, but the purpose is different, is what I understand. So they may live like a common man. They will do everything like a common man, which is what Rama did, which is what Krishna did, which is what Swami also did. He tried to demonstrate how a person has to live their life. So that's my understanding. I think in the next few paragraphs, Swami is explaining this further, so I will just stop there. Yes, Brother Thasan, you had something to say?
Yeah, okay, Saram brother, I'd like to add to your point too. Even Swami lived like an ordinary people. But even though he behaved like us, but invertedly, he is with the Atma. For us, he looked like an ordinary person, eating, talking to us. But the person who really understands the Swami, he knows inwardly he is connected to the Atma. He sees divine consciousness. He is in the, not the duality, he is in the Advaita state. Thank you, Sairam.
Sairam, Brother Sairam. Thank you. Anyone else has something to share? Even the question from Kalyani about jnanis, what they have to do, if anyone has something to say, please do so. I have said my piece, but if anyone has something, please.
Saram, can you hear me?
Brother Yoga, I think you have to speak up a little louder.
Yes, because in Tamil Nadu, the Kanji Priyava, he did all the pujas and the Malish puja until he passed away. And the disciples asked him, why are you doing all these pujas?
Brother Yoga, please speak louder.
Oh, can you hear me now?
Now, yes, with a little, if you can, it's much better.
Yes, the Kanchi Shankaracharya Priyava, once he...
I think still it's not clear though.
You should come closer to the computer.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yeah, Saram. Because of the Kanchi Priyava and Tamil Nadu, and he do all the puja every day, morning and evening, everywhere. Whenever he visited any places, and the disciple asked him, "Why did you do all the puja? You already enlightened." He said, "If I give up, you also gave up. You don't do the puja. That's why I'm still doing the same thing because of you, to show we have to do the puja every day." Thank you, sir.
Okay, Brother Yoga, it was not, at least I didn't hear, I don't know if the others heard.
Sairaman, I think brother was telling that the Kanchi Periva, he was
Yes.
continuing to do all his activities, even right through, even right to the end. And I think when his disciples asked him about it, he said he's doing those activities so that he serves as a role model for others.
Okay, thank you.
Saira.
So if everyone is okay, maybe we will read the next slide and then.
Almost everyone in the world is bound by the rule of karma. But people are so immersed in ignorance that they are unaware of their own moral or intellectual status and of the secrets of karma. Such can be saved only by being inspired by the example of the great. That is why the jnani has to be engaged in activity. He has to remove the sloth and delusion of ordinary men. So all have to obey the rule of karma without any deviation. Does the aeroplane stay on above, denouncing the earth below? Those who have earned the right to travel in it cannot fly towards it and into it. Therefore, to take them in, it has to come down at the places where they gather by previous arrangements, and then soar high into the sky with them. So too, though the jnani has no desire or urge to do karma, he comes down into the region of karma and helps those who would not have otherwise put their talents into proper use. Even great personages like Janaka performed dharma karmas with his view. Aswapati too did likewise to save the rest from sheer idleness or wickedness.
Thank you very much, sister. So Swami is further explaining that we cannot say we are jnanis, so we are not going to do any work, or we are great devotees, we are not going to do work. He says everyone has to engage in action, and we have to obey the rule of karma. So that's what Swami is saying. So with some examples, I will ask others to share their thought, please. Anyone?
Sairam, brother, we know the Janaka's story. What is the Ashwapati story?
Ashwapati story.
Yeah.
Anyone would like to share Ashwapati, who Ashwapati is? So I think I will do some research and come back. But there are two people I think who have bear the name Ashwapati, from what I understand. I may be wrong. One is the father of Savitri, I think. The other one is the father of Kaikeyi. He had it. Okay, something like that. I will come back. That's what I would say. Anyone else who knows can share the thought. He must be a jnani actually, based on what Swami has said. But I will come back. I am not too familiar with the questions.
Okay, no problem, brother.
I think it's important, so we will come back.
So, Sairam, brother.
Yes.
So the second paragraph, I like that one. Also, Swami one time mentioned, I came to this world to elevate the people. But whatever you said, when they see the jnanis, we ask for worldly things. But he came to take his in the plane, but nobody is prepared to go with him because they have to do the sadhana in order to get into the plane. You cannot get into the plane from the land. The plane has to come down. Then only you can get in. Then when the plane has to go and reach to the destination, you can get down. So jnanis are example for us like a plane. They help us, the ignorant souls. Thank you, Sairam.
Thank you very much, brother. Thank you. Anyone else would like to share any thoughts?
Just a quick question. Where it says almost everyone in the world is bound by the rule of karma. So is it everyone except jnanis? When he says
I see
almost?
because of the word almost, I think that's a question.
Yeah.
I will ask Brother Prasad, can you look at the
Telugu version? I'm just looking at it.
in Telugu, what the Swami says?
You see, everyone has to do that. They made it as almost everyone. He said everyone has to do something or other, including the jnanis also, because jnanis, though they can do on their own, they also have a responsibility to guide other people.
Okay.
So he was giving the example of the aeroplane. I mean, aeroplane is just stays back, stays in the top in the air. It doesn't help. It has to come down and take the people whoever they need to get on. So, like that, jnanis, even though they are self-sufficient on their own, they still have to be within the community and do what they need to do, so that it will help them, the community as a model. I think he was saying everyone. Maybe in English it came out as like almost everyone. But
Okay.
Even Lord Krishna said, even he has to do the karma, otherwise the whole universe is going to be end up with disaster.
Okay.
I think in the same context, he was saying, in the continuing the example of airplane, he was saying Janakadalu. He was just trying to put some famous people name just to give more assurance. They did it, they did this person did, that person did. That's where he was using Asopati, all those people names. So there is no excuse for this responsibility.
Yeah, so Swami has not used the word almost, Kalyani. Swami says Ettivaranu, that's the way Swami has said. That means anyone. Okay, that's the.
So everyone in the world is bound by
Yes,
karma?
yes, yes. That's the way.
Maybe something like law of gravitation. So like law of karma applies to anybody kind of a thing. So,
Yes.
So it applies to everybody. Only thing, after a fall, a normal, like somebody says, I don't believe in law of gravity and jumps off a building, they are going to have a fall. But the way a person responds to a fall is different. So I'm saying even if a jnani has to have a fall for whatever reason, the way he would respond to it is that everything is in place, everything is going fine with God's grace and for my own good, versus a normal person who may have a fall and react to it differently. So basically the same lines, it holds good for everybody. Thank you, Sairam.
So Sairam brother, in the Sandeka Nivarani, you explained very well. The Janaka Maharaja, even though he is self, he always with the self understanding, he always with the Atma. He can experience Atma. Still, he does all the worldly thing, ruling the country, taking care of the citizens and everything. He did all kind of karma. Even Krishna also mentioned many times, I am also doing the karma to keep up the whole universe. Thank you.
Okay, so Kalyani, I am sorry to come, I will come back. See what Swami says, this is what Swami says. Baba, ee lokamuna karmadhikarule adhigamuga nunnaru. So, that is what has been translated. In this world, there are most people are karmadhikarulu. That's what Swami has used. So Swami says there are some people who are not karmadhikaris. That's sort of implied in that statement. So I think the translation is reasonably okay.
So we talked about
the word Swami has used is karmadhikarulu, means people who are adhikaris for karma. So most people are karma adhikaris, means who are responsible for action, I think. Is Brother Prasad, is the translation okay? Karmadhikarulu.
Yeah, I also found that one. I think maybe to connect in one of these chapters, right? Swami is Krishna. If I want, I can stop doing it, but I was not doing it because if I do, what happens? How do you guys live? So that means, like Krishna, there are people who can really not do. If they want, they don't do it. They don't need to do anything.
Yes.
They are also doing it. What
Okay.
is there are people who can avoid doing it, but they're also doing. But otherwise, like sun, if you stop, what happens? Everything will stop. Maybe in that context.
Okay, they have some they have some choice, they have a free will, if you would say. So Kalyani, I think you are right. I think the jnanis and anyone are not necessarily bound by karma, but they voluntarily take it up.
So adhikari, I think before we had talked about it meaning entitled, like we are entitled to karma. Is that?
Yes.
But I guess it's also responsibility, kind of.
So
Both of those.
adhikari here, karmadhikarulu means
for their own karma. Who manages their karma, kind of. I
Yeah.
myself, and like ownership or
ownership. So it looks like you are an authority, but it is not necessarily. In this case, you are entitled, or that's why the translation says bound by the rule of karma. So if you have taken up a position, so you have given a position, adhikari means somebody has been given a position to do a particular action. That is an adhikari. Okay, so you are assigned a role. So most people have been assigned a role in this world by karma or whatever, your vasanas or prarabdham or whatever. But some people are not bound by that, which is jnanis and avatara purushas. They are free to make certain choices because they didn't come down. Their birth is not based on karma. It is based on compassion that they have come down. Whereas those who are bound by karma are born and we have to perform the action, no other choice. I think that's I understand.
Brother, we studied before that everyone bound by karma, right? And only the way they don't affect by that, right?
Yes.
So even Krishna is bound by karma, but it won't affect him. Like we see that is affecting on world's point of view, but in his mind or state of mind or how he takes it doesn't affect. And jnanis are, with the grace of God, they are also bound by karma, but they don't feel it. They don't affect the dual.
I think they're impacted by the karma, but they're not bound.
Yes.
Okay, so I think that's the distinction. They have to face the karma consequences, but they are not affected by it. Yeah, which is, we have this. Thanks, sister. Thanks for Brother Yoga, you raised. I hope this time you can speak louder.
Yes. Swami Vivekananda, he come by his own will. He want to do serving or something. That's what Swami said. He already immersed God, but he came back for his own will, kind of thing. Understand?
Yes, brother. Yeah, so they voluntarily take it up for the benefit of the world. So it's 4:30. I think the time has run very fast today. So I think we'll close. I will do some research on Aswapati and come back next week. If Swami has spoken about it at other places, then we can continue the discussion. Thank you very much. We can close with Samastaloka if it's okay. Saira. समस्तलोका सुखिनो भवन्तु समस्तलोका सुखिनो भवन्तु समस्तलोका सुखिनो भवन्तु ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः Sai Ram everyone.
Sai Ram.
Thank you,
Sai Ram,
Sai
Brother.
Ram.
Sai Ram.
Sai Ram.
Hi, Ram.